This is such a fun way to add colour. I've got 3 techniques to share with you using acrylic markers. So I've got 3 techniques to share with you today, how you can stretch these acrylic markers. They're very easy to use, and I've also got a bonus technique, so stick around for that. So this is an addition to the previous set, and what I always say every time I get a new medium or a new set of colours, I like to swatch them out. The packaging or the labelling on the colours is never true to life, so it's always a good idea to have a swatch on hand so that you know exactly what the colours are going to be. These colours are quite a bit muted compared to the first volume of colours, which were nice and bright, so they're a good complement if you do have the other set. And we're going to be making 2 beautiful floral cards today. So the first technique that we're going to do is to colour on an embossed image. And I'm going to hit you straight up with the bonus technique today. I'm not going to make you wait. No way, I wouldn't do that to you. Did you know that you can colour with acrylic markers onto coloured cardstock? In fact, it works beautifully on coloured cardstock because it's an opaque medium. So when you're colouring on cardstock other than white, I would recommend having a piece of scrap cardstock off to the side so that you can test your colours as you're going. Now, because this is an opaque medium, what that means is that you can layer it up. I would recommend layering it after it's had a chance to dry. So what I decided to do here as I'm colouring the embossing folder images is I'm doing one colour at a time. So by the time I get back to adding a layer onto the colour itself, it's going to be nice and dry. It really doesn't take that long, but you will get a better result. And the other thing to be aware of, because it is opaque, is that you don't have to be too perfect. So where I'm colouring in this flower along the edge of the petals here, I'm not too worried about the centre of the flower because I'm going to be colouring that in as well. And when I do, it's going to cover up the previous sort of bits of white that have gone into the centre there. You'll see what I mean when I do it. It does pay to take your time on the finer areas. So when you're doing things like the stems or very intricate areas, because if you do go out of the lines onto the actual cardstock, it is a bit harder to take off if you go over the edge. What I've found worked when I've used this before is a craft knife, and you can just gently scrape away. Otherwise, that might be a good place to put the sentiment or an embellishment. There's always a moment for creative imagination. Now, I did focus on using the colours that were in this one set today, just to share that you don't need to have all the colours, but obviously it will coordinate really well with the other set. So if you do already have the other set, you can easily mix and match these colours. You may notice as I'm laying the colour down and the shading that the colour looks lighter, but as it dries, it gets that little bit darker, especially when I'm using the very dark blue colour here. And that's why I'd recommend to test them first. This is really such a fun and easy way to colour. It does have a very different look than using watercolours, pencils, or alcohol markers. So if you're really looking for something a bit different and just something that's really easy that you can just sit back and have a bit of fun with, this, and it goes with any of your supplies. You can use this with stamped images, embossed images, and I'll show you another way very shortly how we're going to be using it. Now, there wasn't a darker green in this specific set, so to add a bit of shading to the leaves, I came in with the dark blue instead. And that's what made me sort of think, oh, maybe I'll come in and add a bit of the darker blue to the flowers. And if you watch it here, you'll see as I lay it down, you can hardly see it, but as it dries, it gets quite dark. So when I was looking at this, initially I wasn't going to colour in the edges, the outer edges of the petals, but because it is on the coloured cardstock, they were getting lost in the whole design. And I know it's a very busy design. You can do this with just a single flower. I just wanted something a bit more impactful. And if you want to see another card which inspired me to make this one, I'll link it in the blog post below, and it's made on white cardstock using the Magnolia folder that I showed earlier in the video. Now, because this is an embossed image, I wouldn't recommend die cutting it with a rectangle die. If you're going to cut it down, use a paper trimmer. Just, you don't want to impress the image. You don't want to make it go flat again. Although you can run it back through your die cutting machine in the embossing folder. So I cut it down, add it to the front of a card, and then added a simple popped up sentiment. The center of the flowers, I decided to come in with the white acrylic marker and add some simple dots. Another thing you could do here would be to add some sequins or sparkles, or even some darker brown dots would look good here too. Which brings me to my second technique, which is to add color to die cuts. And this works particularly well on floral images. I'm only adding one shade of color here because I want a white flower with a yellow sort of center of the petals. So I'm focusing the acrylic marker in the center of the petals and just flicking it outwards. You can add as many colors as you want. You could even die cut the flower petals in some colored cardstock to begin with, and then use a white acrylic marker to add a white center. And when I was doing the center portions of the flowers, I did decide to come in and add some of the marker to the edge of the die cuts, just so that that white cut edge didn't show when I layer them up. And I do want to add some dimension to the petals, so I'm using just a pen here to roll the cardstock, and that'll just give it a little bit of shape. This is optional. If you want your flower to be flatter, then you don't need to do this step. So this particular set has 4 different flowers in it, and really easy to use because they have the keyhole guide, which just makes layering a dream. They are all numbered, but if you're not sure, the packaging also has the assembly instructions on it as well. I always like to use a liquid glue when I'm assembling these sort of die cut layers because there's only such a small amount of space to adhere them together, and I know that's got a really strong hold and it's going to keep my flower together through the post. And I'm just following the guide and layering up all 3 flowers. What I do like about these layers with the keyhole is that it even tells me where I need to put the center of the flower. It has a base guide, and then I just have to adhere the centerpiece over top. It makes it so very easy. So we've already done one technique with this idea. When I did the first card, that was all on an embossed image. This is also an embossed image. It's a vase. It comes in the same Craft Your Life kit of supplies, and I thought it went well with the Magnolia flower. I am adding a couple of layers, just doing some really speedy coloring here with the acrylic markers, and not being too careful on the edges here because I do want to make sure that they're colored in, because I'm going to be cutting this out with a pair of scissors. Even when I was coloring the larger portions here, I just used some simple line strokes to fill the area in, and it dried beautifully. I think it kind of almost looks like a ceramic vase. And I came in with the marker on the edge as well, just so I didn't see the cut edges here, and I also added a bit of dimension. Now this is quite big, this vase, so I just used one of the actual markers themselves because I'm going to pop this up. So I'm working on coloured cardstock again, tip bonus idea, and we're up to our 3rd technique now, and we're doing some freehand drawing directly onto the cardstock. Now You don't have to be an artist to do this. I'm literally just drawing some leaf shapes, nice long thin leaves. I'm just using my vase and flowers as a guide. You can add as many or as few leaves. You can add short round leaves, you can add long thin ones, you can even add some twigs, berries, little flowers. I thought about doing some little white flowers in the background. They would have been really pretty, but I'd already finished the card. So then maybe next time. And again, I came in with the dark blue to add some shading to the leaves and also to ground the vase. These are so much fun to colour with and really easy to use. I just kept drawing with them. So I added dimension to the vase and also popped the flowers in place. You can use these markers to colour like leaf images, even twigs, like die cut ones. You can use them to colour images, stamped images. They're so much fun. Oh, and here's a thing. I also used the silver pen. This, you can't see it in the video so much, but in real life this is so glittery and shiny. It's beautiful. So I added a couple of layers. That pen, there's also a gold one which is really pretty, but I haven't tried the black one yet. That looks really interesting. And like I said, I couldn't stop playing with these pens, so I did add some dots and some more dots to the background. Popped up a sentiment. This one comes from the same set. It's really, the fonts in this set are really pretty as well. They are a bit on the larger side, so they really can make a statement on a card. And all together now, our first technique, we used an embossing folder, quite a busy image here, and coloured directly onto the embossed image and added layers with the acrylic markers. And on the second card we had two techniques. The first one where we added some colour to the die cut flowers and then drew our own freehand leaves in the background, as well as grounded the vase. Let me know in the comments below if you have a favourite today and if you're going to try colouring with some acrylic markers. I look forward to seeing you back here again real soon. Till then, bye.
Hello there! Did that video just spark your creativity? And do you want more project ideas and inspiration videos too? Well, if you do, please make sure that you subscribe to the Altenew YouTube channel. Also, make sure that you do click that notification bell so you don't miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye bye!